What are some dark secrets in the place you work? A place I used to work at some 10 years ago, we went on a company trip to a ski resort. We were all supposed to share rooms. I got paired up with a dude in my team, but I noticed a lot of my older co-workers got co-ed rooms. I asked one of the girls that had helped out to arrange the trip how come some were splitting rooms boy/girl. Turned out a lot of people were lovers, and whenever there were company trips they shared rooms and basically spent the whole trip ducking each other. And the company helped them out when arranging the trips, so they got paired up in the same room. When the trip was over they all went back to their husbands and wives. I work at Applebee's. The 4-cheese mac and cheese is 1800 calories. That's dark as shit. I could eat an entire box of Kraft mac and cheese for less than that. Correction, you could eat 2 entire boxes of Kraft mac and cheese. You could have 3 boxes of this, though I don't recommend it. I guess it's not really that dark or a big secret, just something very few people know about. In the 70s and 80s most commercial beekeepers in Canada poisoned all or almost all their hives to death every fall. The hives were then replaced by packaged bees in spring from the US, used for the summer, and then killed again in fall. This was done just because packages from America were cheaper than the medication and labor involved with overwintering your hives. Especially as you can lose anywhere from 5% to 50% of your hives over winter. This doesn't happen anymore as the price of packages now vastly exceed the cost of wintering your hives. Even if it did become economically feasible again, I can't see it happening as the public outcry would likely be huge if people found out this was happening. Like I said, not really a secret, just something few people remember. I got the job by having sass with my coworker's mom. I'm a stay-at-home dad. You slut. I'm calling HR. The car dealership I worked at had it all. Half the staff was ducking each other, most of them were married. Blackjack and poker games every hour on the hour in the body shop. The accountant sold pirated DVDs. Pot, cocaine, and prescription drugs were available in the detail shop. And most of us salesmen were drunk by noon. Sounds like a magical place I'd love to work at. Tahiti? The sign in the front yard is more effective at preventing burglaries than the actual burglar alarm is. The burglar alarm just lets you know when someone decided to ignore the sign. I work for a home security company. This is pretty true. They don't stop smart or determined criminals. If someone wants to rob you specifically, you are pretty much screwed. Most of the staff is being laid off in 3 months. The company has already started hiring their replacements in India. They'll be told a week before Christmas at the rate management is going getting their shut together. I wish I didn't know. I hate keeping secrets and I just want to scream abandon ship at them all. It would be a shame if a memo or email containing the details from one of the higher-ups was accidentally printed to a group printer or 10. I used to work a small company and the secretary was shared among the owners, salesmen and some of the workers. The worst thing is that she acted all high and mighty like they owned the company, and I guess in a way she did. She got preferential treatment and often the owner would pay her bills if she got behind, and rumor is that the owner paid off her car when she threatened to tell his wife. She was always invited to Las Vegas for trade conferences, even though she had nothing to do with the trade besides answering phones and making appointments. We all knew what really happened on those trips. I work in the hazmat industry, mainly spill recovery. Holy shit, if you work in industry, you need to look at your company's environmental policies. The company I work for works pretty closely with the EPA and our state environmental management agency, so we do a lot of jobs where other companies screwed up. Lead contamination is stupid high in so many places. I've seen visible mercury literally swept under a rug, so that companies don't have to pay for remediation. This will get on you, track throughout, and it will stay on your clothes or shoes for so long. Acid spills where the company wants to save some money, so they wash it off into public freshwater sewers. TLDR, large companies don't like to spend money on environmental cleanup, so they do a lot of illegal stuff. People used to pay the janitor to steal other people's lunches for them. Pay? Why not just buy lunch then? The other workers usually had better lunches than what was offered in places you could buy from. Also, it costed less to pay the janitor. Worked in a small hospital. We had a room titled Utility Close T, which was actually the morgue or body hold. Our ER was significantly far away from that room, so to transport dead bodies, we'd wheel the gurney down there with piles of laundry covering the body. Yep, that happened. I guess the hospital didn't want to tip people off there was a dead body passing them in the hallway. This is actually kinda common. In some places, the bodies will be put on a gurney with a lower level instead of the regular folding ones, and then a sheet on the main part, so that it just looks like an empty gurney. But yeah, pretty much every hospital tries to avoid letting people see the bodies. The funeral home will sneak by to pick them up at odd hours. Not me, but my dental assistant teacher once had to cover for a new dentist. He pulls the wrong tooth on a patient, and she told the patient that they missed some decay on the tooth next to it, and since they missed it, it was free. So they pulled 2 teeth and the guy thinks he got a deal. This ducking pisses me off. Before I got braces I had to have 2 teeth pulled. I got to the dentist and he's like, no, it's 4. Young 12-year-old Shimey says, are you sure? I thought it was 2. He insists it's 4. Get it done. Go out to my mum waiting and tell her, and she starts crying. The worst thing is I was already missing 2 teeth from the bottom and now I'm down 4. It looks like shut to this day, even after the braces. One of the head guys was arrested for child pornography. And no, I'm not talking about Subway. Not exactly a secret, but since a large part of the work involves being with kids without parents around, the company did their best to keep quiet. Where do you work at? It's a small martial arts chain. Luckily I don't work there anymore. I have sat in the boardroom of a major industrial agency during the planning for a very major project and watched a lot of faces go pale as a budgeting section for expected loss of life came up. In my experience, the CEOs who talk about safety being number one for their company aren't kidding. They're often very much on board. It's getting the rest of the staff to get it through their skulls and follow suit that can be difficult. Anyway, they budgeted for 3 deaths in the course of the project. When asked why 3, they said that statistically, the man who's involved said 3 was the conservative estimate and there was a reserve for up to 6 deaths. Each of those deaths were budgeted to cost the company $1.7 million, factoring in fines, fees, loss of productivity, legal fees, etc. It was a good meeting. It made it very clear to those who value money over human life just how much money a human life costs, and how much worse it can be if there's a major incident. 1 death is bad on the bottom line, but a mass casualty incident? Anything more than 3 means a worksite shut down, which can cost the company easily $20 million or more a day. Believe it or not, the occupational health and safety teeth that the government has is long and sharp. Long and sharp enough to even make massive petroleum companies think very carefully about their priorities. Unidentified submerged objects that travel at speeds and depths my Navy cannot attain. I will never lose my sense of wonder at the mysteries within our world's oceans. Probably should have considered my clearance before posting, but if you Google unidentified submerged objects Navy sonar you can get stories from other vets. Quite fascinating. Interned for a non-profit and they would intentionally turn clients away who needed help feeding their children if someone had a birthday coming up, so they could use the money to go out and party and claim it as a company expense or petty cash. At least half of the people who handle your food, both in restaurants and retail, and really any other retail, have some sort of cold or flu at the time, and are probably contagious. Very few retail or service industry job pay well enough, or have benefits that make it possible to take sick days, and the management will guilt people into working even though they are sick, because the company can't handle being short-staffed. Can confirm, my tonsils are swollen and leaking pus, but I haven't been to the doctor yet because oh my god you better not call in on Black Friday weekend. It's a fairly open secret. I work in a small plumbing repair store. There were 3 of us there, including the owner. The other employee committed suicide at the store a few months ago. Shot himself in the head while we were open. At least 4 people have died here in the past 4 years, and the local government is in cahoots with the CEO. My own debt manager was involved in a huge embezzling scandal a few years ago, but managed to wiggle free. What company do you work for? So I can know never to work there / piss off any of the higher ups. Never ever work in a casino. Specifically, Native American casinos. The corruption is rampant. I work with people with traumatic brain injuries. The darkest secret is I know some of the people I work with have the person they were before the accident trapped in their mind. The link between thought and action is broken. I know one young guy who wasn't much older than me. He tried to hang himself in prison. He was too young to go to prison for anything like murder. He's just a skinny redneck kid. No one knew what he went to prison for because his sister couldn't be bothered to find out. She let him live in his own shed for years until she placed him in our company. He was funny as could be in his lucid moments. He would switch between lucid and emptiness. In his episodes of emptiness he would get a blank stare, not talk, refuse to move, and refuse any kind of human contact. If you pushed and tried to get him to stand up or even move his leg he would scream in fear. In those episodes I know the guy's in there. He's just confused and scared. It's like I can see he's home. He just won't answer the door. I remember reading Dance Inferno. According to Dant, people who commit suicide are formed into twisted trees and their leaves and branches and ripped apart by harpies. I realized for that guy that hell is his reality and I'm his harpy.